In the name of God, who put his people in the land of the east shores of the great white sea and focused the energy and power of mankind's development, both physically and intellectually, into the two pearl cities of the White Sea named Damascus and Jerusalem. In the name of the people of Gaza, I want to release all of my entitlements to copyright of all of the writings that I have done, because all knowledge belongs to God. All of the historical writings, all of the geographical writings, all of the medical and psychological informations and writings, and all of the original work, it's I release my copyrights in the name of the people of Gaza and in the name of God, to whom all information belongs. I am going to read a description of the geography of the White Sea, which is one of the 5 seas of the Middle East. And after I read the descriptions, we will take a satellite journey and see the geography of these places. I have a description of the White Sea that was written in 2015, and I'm going to preface this paper on the pearl cities of the White Sea by reading this description of the sea water of the White Sea. So this here is the White Sea. It's the Mediterranean Sea. High in the northern hemisphere of the planet and stretched far from the equator is the top of the continent of Africa, which sits under the continent of Europe. Between the continents is a deep waterway that connects the ocean of the North Atlantic to the sea basins of the Mediterranean. The waterway itself is from the land of Africa's topmost tip in the distance 9 miles of deep water separation from the bottom of the land of Spain. The continents are within eye's view of each other. Once the waters of the ocean Atlantic meet the way for the Sea of the Mediterranean, they spread very widely and continue spreading from the sea basin Alboran, where the waters open widely and the continental shelves plunge. To the north is the land of Spain, and to the south is the land of Morocco, more widely spreading and ever deeply, further into the Sea of the Mediterranean, towards the sea basin Algerian. At the north is the land of France, and at the south is the land of Algeria, until, steeply raising in confrontation with the islands of Italy and the mainland Italy, which surrounds the sea basin of Tyrrhenian, except south, where, sweeping broadly, the ocean floor depths ascend, and the top of Africa careens southward at a 90-degree angle. This oceanography, which most fluently complements the boundary and spacious shores of the land of Tunisia, it entirely defines the coastline before it spreads very far again and descends slowly in the water space above the south's neighbor land of Libya, deeper and deeper descending into the water of the White Sea, and further far spreading in width until below it the water falls into the sea basin of Ionin, where the deepest water is located. South is the land of Libya, undulating, and passing in the width of space, that in the north altogether is the land of Albania, Greece, and Bulgaria in width. The Sea of the Mediterranean is here between the continents of Africa and the land of the south, and of Europe, the land of the north. It's at a soft angle, closed in upon. Then the sea basin of Levantine spreads very widely and very deeply. The land of Egypt is south, the land of Turkey is north. This is the last oceanic chasm of the Sea of the Mediterranean. And now, for as broadly the distance from the land south and the land north, in which the sea basin of Levantine is lain, moderately of pace, the floor raises in steps directly to the beaches of Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Gaza. If we take from the Sea of the Mediterranean onto the furthest inward shores at the east, where it bends from the south, the water changes from dark blue to turquoise. Low waves of surf roll onto suede colored sands and crash and withdraw in a tide. All the way north on the eastern side of the Mediterranean, from the south, the coastline, it's an alternation of city and rural lands. We would make entrance from the land of Gaza and travel directly east, passing the border into the flat, fertile land of Israel's agricultural developments, passing just south of the southern edge of the Dead Sea. We are still due east for the pastel gray, pink, and gold of open sands and the dark gray truffles of rockland like waves in rows holding moderate elevation. This is written by Catherine, me, on July 6th of 2015. And this is written January 18th of 2024. The White Sea, the Mediterranean, has a pearl city where the economic power of the sea has focalized, making the pearl city more significant upon the sea than any other city. The White Sea has twin cities, which are the pearls of the sea, named Damascus, the city of Damascus, and the city of Jerusalem. The White Sea is a water passage for all of the Atlantic Ocean to access the Middle East and Asia. All of the Atlantic Ocean must pass through the waters of the White Sea to get to the Middle East and Asia. Otherwise, the journey would lengthen by months of time to travel around the continent of Africa and across the Arabian Sea. The waters of the White Sea connect with the Red Sea in the southeast, allowing further access to the shores of Africa and the west shores of Arabia, the east shores of Africa. The waters of the White Sea connect with the Black Sea in the northeast, allowing access to the north and south of the shores of the landmass named Turkey. Many ancient and notorious cities lay along the shores of the White Sea. Many countries have beaches upon the White Sea. From the Atlantic Ocean, we sail a water passage 9 miles from shore to shore before the waterway opens into the White Sea. Heading due east upon the surface of the deep sea basin, we pass the shore of Morocco in the south and the shores of Spain in the north, continuing east for 1,000 kilometers. To the south is the shores of the land named Algeria, and in the north is the land of France. 1,000 kilometers more Further upon the White Sea, we pass Tunisia and Libya in the south, and the peninsula of Italy in the north. For 1,000 kilometers, the beaches of Libya undulate in the south as we continue across the deepest of all basins of the White Sea. In the north lays the shores of Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, Greece. Here we arrive to the final sea basin of the White Sea. In the south is the land of Egypt. In the north is the land of Turkey and the island country named Cyprus. The White Sea stops at the east shore, where lay the beaches of Gaza, Israel, Lebanon, also known by the name Palestine. The twin pearl cities of the White Sea is here in the land named Palestine, an ancient city named Jerusalem. Finally, at the easternmost shore of the White Sea is the beaches of Syria, where the twin pearl city Damascus lays, a city equal to Jerusalem in the history of mankind. The twin pearl cities of the White Sea are named Damascus and Jerusalem. The economic power of mankind historically has focused in these cities because of their place at the far east shores of the White Sea. The east shores of the White Sea allow access to most all of the Middle Eastern countries which lay east of the shores of the White Sea. The east shores of the White Sea additionally allow access to trade routes and waterways that lead far east to India and Asia. For all of the Atlantic Ocean, all of the countries to the north and the south of the White Sea, the fastest and most direct route to India and Asia is absolutely via the east shores of the White Sea. Damascus and Jerusalem have concentrated the fruits of mankind and the life of mankind and the advanced industrial developments of mankind. Jerusalem and Damascus have grown bigger and bigger over time, wealthier than the ancient history could have ever imagined. The city of Damascus is a world power in the trade of phosphate from the mines of Palmyra, earning hundreds of billions every year, far more than taxes. Nuclear uranium is extracted from phosphate by private companies. The city of Jerusalem is a world power in the trade of diamonds. The diamond trade earns hundreds of billions yearly because they are used in advanced technology of solar panels and lasers. The riches of these trades have increased the power of the economy in the cities of Damascus and Jerusalem. God has prized these two twin cities of Damascus and Jerusalem, and God would never want these cities destroyed. God has done everything for mankind in the interest of focusing the beauty, the power, and the energy of mankind into these twin pearls named Damascus and Jerusalem. Allahu Akbar. God, we demand the immediate intercession to save and protect the life of the people of Gaza and end the war, because God does not like war, and obviously God makes the pain of war cause men to run away. It's obvious what God truly desires. Allahu Akbar, your loving daughter, Catherine Alwan, written Thursday, January 18th of 2024. And now we shall go on a satellite journey. So there's something significant about the waterways of the planet, and that is half of this planet is the Pacific Ocean. And that makes travel across the Pacific Ocean, a travel across half of the world. And it also means that we're all over here on the other half. Too far. Here we are. Okay. And furthermore, all of the Atlantic seaboard in North and South America to make contact with the East, it's more difficult to find a way through. There's only one way through, and then you'd need to travel half of the world. So naturally, the strongest connections are straight across the Atlantic Ocean. So you're going to hit the shores of Europe, the shores of West Africa, and if you wanted to get to India and Asia in any economical time, you would absolutely go straight through the White Sea and straight down the Red Sea and across. And if you don't, your journey will be delayed incredibly. You would need to transfer the load of your whatever you're transporting, and the loads are you cannot carry the same mass across land that you can on the sea. So all of the Atlantic Ocean to access the Middle East, South Europe, and to furthermore get to their precious India and China, as we know that India and China have always produced worldly trade goods that are exclusive to their ecosystems. So this is the start of the White Sea and the First Sea Basin. This is Spain and this is Morocco. And they can see each other from shore to shore. And we can see that there's a lot of green here. And then this becomes very dry. And the reason for that is the land is made green because there is water underground. There is water springs and there's water sources underground. And there must be water underground to see green on the surface of the earth. It cannot be that it rains only on the coast, or that it doesn't rain, or that the planet skips the rain all entirely here. It cannot be that the sand, it's lower in the ground here at the coast, and it's never low enough in the ground here to create a pool of water. It must be that there's underground water sources, and that is how you can know the where the water is on the planet. There is water springs, underground water reservoirs. There's a lot of underground water all here, as you can see how green it is, and there is not here. So you would expect to find more probably volcanism, because more molten rock closer to the surface here, because, and that would, because the side effect is that the water disappears, or the water cannot stay there due to the heat of those areas. So, because these do not line up with the equator. The equator is not here. The equator is down here. So we're continuing through the White Sea, past Spain and Morocco, passing Algeria, passing across the Italy, peninsula of Italy and Tunisia, passing Libya, passing Greece, and all of these European countries here tucked behind the peninsula of Italy. And then you can see how there are no underground, there's a lot less underground water sources here. And not only that, but look at this big round circle. Look at that black spot. In Libya. There's another one. It's a lot more distinct. It's here. This is a diamond maker. This is a kimberlite pipe. And that means that the magma is coming up from the lower cores of the earth, and it's rising through a weakness in the earth here. That is a kimberlite pipe. That's why it's like that in the whole area. It's affected this whole area. Even this is checkered and pucked. So, and this is actually due to the water. These are actually not, these are actually like agricultural developments, it appears, by satellite, and they're very discolored, but probably due to the water. So what happens is the heat causes the water in the nearby areas to condense in a way that creates diamonds. This is not yet proven in science that I know of, but that's because it's probably like a proprietary trade secret of the Freemasons. And this is diamond country. So the effect of these kimberlite pipes is that in the water areas nearby, and especially these are greatly mountainous. This is where we're going to end up coming up onto diamond country here at the East Mediterranean, which is, you see that kimberlite pipe right there. So we're back over here in Libya, and we did cross by, and we could see that it's not as focalized and it's not as small. It's kind of diffused and dilated, and it's not concentrated. So we're passing by Libya, and we're passing Greece, and we're passing Egypt, and we're passing a pearl city of the Red Sea, Cairo, and we've come to the east shores of the White Sea. And here is the Pearl City, Damascus. And here is the Pearl City, Jerusalem. And there are a number of capitals for the countries of the east shores of the White Sea here. There is the capital of Jordan, Amman. So here's Damascus and here's Jerusalem. And here's Amman, Jordan, the capital. And here is Beirut, the capital of Jordan. There are 4 capitals of 4 countries here at the eastern shores. And this is a fertile land. There's water sources on here underground. So this is, furthermore, let's just get a great view of this eastern shore. Okay, so this is the Dead Sea, and this is Lake Tiberias, and this is where Jesus was born. This is where Jesus lived, and this is where Jesus walked and gave his sermons. So the prophet Isa, may Allah be pleased with him, this is the land he walked. This is the land, the Holy Lands. And this is one of the most ancient capitals, Damascus. And you see that there's new capitals all in this sacred area. Here is Gaza. Here is where they're going to put the new Ben Gurion Canal, which will change the power of the economy of the world. When they put this, when Israel completes their secret plan to come to the other side of Gaza so that they can access their new canal system, which they would be using the natural river waterway. You can see it here, clear as day. There's a white line that runs through the mountains, because if you want to make a waterway from the Gulf of Aqaba to the White Sea for this country, which they do, and it's named the Ben Gurion Canal, the only possible way to get through kilometers and kilometers, hundreds of kilometers of mountains, is you can't break that many mountains. So you would need to try to use one of the systems that were already there. So there's a perfect pathway here, straight ding, 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 right into the Gulf of Aqaba. And that is absolutely what this attack on Gaza is about. So let's see. That is the power structure of this area. This is the Palmyra mines for phosphate and uranium, which make Damascus rich, which unless they were going to use the diamonds behind them. And these diamonds have been here for thousands of years. They have found these diamonds here. So, but this is kept a secret, except for that it's very obvious just looking at the trade data. And I feel that is everything I meant to describe about this geography here on the east. This is very mountainous, and it has water sources. These are not waterless mountains, and they're not drinking the sea. There's water reservoirs here. Anytime you hear fresh mountain spring, or mountain river, mountain lake, mountain river, that's all fresh water. It's from underground springs. It's not because the mountains collected the water. Allahu Akbar.